What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Get Real Bass Fishing. In the last video where we talk about all the things that you need to get started in surf fishing for 2024, we talked about one of these rods, and I told you we were going to do a video talking about some other rods that I've used in the past and just talk about the specs, stuff like that you might be interested in getting yourself one of those rods. So let's get started. Let's start talking about some surf rods. So for starters, I've basically fished with a bunch of different brands. I've tried a bunch of different price points, and I've been satisfied for the most part with all of them. However, my go-to, I'm gonna start with this one right now, is a Croy Siege. This is a 9-foot medium moderate fast, and this is a 10-foot medium moderate fast, I believe. Or yeah, medium moderate fast. And these two are basically the same rods, just different lengths. My favorite is the Siege so far. I've fished with, let's say, Okuma. This one is a Pen. That is a Lamy. There's another Lamy over here. There's a Tsunami Saltx. I got some more Tsunamis in the truck, but my favorite, as far as strength, power, and lightness, I guess, weight, would have to be the Croy Siege. This one, with this kind of action, I'm fishing with bucktails. Anything that I really need to get a really heavy hook set into, I like fishing that with these medium moderate fasts, and even the medium heavies to moderate fast. Those are what I prefer for those bigger diamond jigs, bucktails type stuff with a little bit more weight and bigger hooks. Now, I've fished with these with the Joe Bag Swarters. I fished with these with the SP Minnows. Basically any kind of jerkbait style, even the swim bait heads with the single hooks. This is a very, very good all-around rod, and I haven't broken any of these yet. So if you know anything about the channel, I break rods all the time, which is why I replace them and try new brands. That's one of the big reasons. But I haven't broken a Croy Siege yet, knock on my truck. But this is a very good all-around. I believe it's over 350 though. If you want to get yourself a really good rod, based off of my recommendation and my last maybe 100 videos or so, you can see these rods in action, and you know I'm not just saying this, go buy this rod or anything. There's actually action behind it, and there's some really good credibility behind the Croy Siege. So if you want to spend the money right off the bat, go ahead and get the Croy Siege. I'll link that down below. I'll also link down the 10-foot Siege. That way you can choose which one you want. Like I said in my last video, I like 10-footers when it comes to distance, and also top water. If we're working top water, I want that rod a little bit longer. That way I can keep the leader line and everything out of the water. That way when we're working and jerking the top waters, we don't have that line laying in the water, getting caught up in some waves or wakes like that. That way it doesn't affect the action of that top water spook or a pencil popper or something like that. All right, so 10-foot, 9-foot. They also have an 8-foot, 7-foot, 10-foot 6. I think they actually go up to 12. Don't quote me on that. I think they have an 11 as well. So don't quote me on those, but if you want a smaller rod like an 8-foot or a 7-foot, they have them. I have fished with the 7-foots. They are phenomenal. They are surf rods though, so they have a little bit longer butt, as opposed to like an inshore rod where a 7-foot would have typically a shorter butt depending on power. All right, so let's jump into some other rods first, and then we'll jump into the Saltx and the Prevail. So this is the Okuma Solaris. This is my dad's rod. This is the one I bought my dad. This is a 9'6" medium heavy, which goes up to 2 to 6 ounces. And I wish I had somewhere that wasn't concrete or asphalt that I could show you the actions of these rods. This is a super thin rod, and it's actually pretty light for the price point. I believe this was like $120. So for $120, you get an pretty nice surf rod. The only downfall to this is I prefer using like a 55 or a 5,000, 55 or 6,000 size surf reel with this. It being so thin, it's kind of off balance with a 5500 surf reel. But that's the kind of power I want in a 9.6. No matter what brand surf reel you get, usually the 5,000, 6,000 size reels, they usually have good drag on them and a big handle to crank some fish in. But it's a little off balance with this one. Maybe if it was a 10-foot it would be a little bit, I guess, bulkier to where it would feel more balanced. But my dad likes it. I've only caught one fish on this rod, so I personally don't have any specific recommendations as to why you should get this rod, but my dad likes it. He's caught plenty of fish on jetties, back bays, and the surf with it, and like I said, I think it's like 120. It might have gone up with the prices, but 9.6, 2-piece, 2 to 6 ounce, medium, heavy Okuma Solaris. All right, let's jump into this one. This is a Lamaglass Insane Surf. This is probably Lamaglass's cheapest, I shouldn't say cheap, most inexpensive rod. This is the new model Insane Surf. This is a 1 to 3 ounce, 10-foot, moderate fast, and based off of all of the Insane Surfs for Lamaglass, this is my favorite action. The 10-foot, moderate fast is a super soft rod. So I'm usually fishing jerkbait style, swimming plugs, lighter baits with this. So this goes from 1 to 3 ounce. You don't want to have to throw anything bigger than that. I try to stay away from the 3 ounce on these Lamaglasses. If you read about them, they tend to snap really easily, and I have personally broken one before. But like I said, when you're doing it right, you're not high sticking on a jetty or throwing something that's way too heavy on this rod, they are super fun. I want to say these are close to 160 now. I could be wrong. Like I said, I'll link everything down below. I'll put price points down there as well, even though you just click the links, you'll be able to find them. But it's a super soft rod, so when it comes to throwing like 5-inch SP minnows or 5-inch mag darters or something that's a little bit lighter, this is a really fun rod. But like I said, they do tend to snap, which I have snapped. I've snapped them down here because they're super light, and I don't necessarily know what specific blank they use for this or what they make it out of, but it tends to snap around here, which is strange because usually they snap on the upper, but these I've had snap on the base, and they've blown up into a couple pieces. But Lamaglass Insane Surf, I just want to point out that this isn't me bashing any company, it's just my personal experience, and I'm trying to be as true as possible with you guys. With that being said, I do prefer my St. Croix over anything. They have great warranty, and I haven't broken any of my St. Croix yet, so there's that. Going back to Lamy, this is an 8-foot Lamaglass. This goes from 1/2 ounce to 2 ounce, and there's really not many applications where you're throwing an 8-foot rod unless you're in the back bay throwing some lighter products like swim baits, smaller swim baits, and smaller jerk baits like the 5-inch SPs and mag darters. But if they're in close, you're throwing a 1/2 ounce, 3/4 ounce, or even a 1 ounce bucktail into some pools or holes, then this could be a really good rod. The only downfall to that is if you're in the surf and it's crazy and big sweeps, big water, you're not gonna be able to cast out as far, and you're gonna want a heavier duty reel. That way you can actually set the drag properly, you're not bending out hooks, and you'll still be able to pull in the fish without over stressing it. This actually is a repaired 8-foot Lamaglass. So it's not, I didn't buy it brand new, and a lot of times when you go to fishing shows like the one coming up on March 2nd that we actually have a booth at, I'll link that down below as well, you can actually find a lot of people selling used rods. Just make sure that the inserts to the guides are good, that they're actually attached to the rod properly, there's no cracked epoxy, the handle's good, it's not tearing apart. This reel seat actually turns and holds a reel. Make sure if you're buying any used rod, you put a reel inside and make sure it actually holds the reel instead of being all floppy. And then also it just depends on, like, just make sure this isn't cracked anywhere. You want to get your money's worth. So if a big budget rod is out of your league, go around, find some garage sales, go to some shows, find something that's being used, that was used and being sold as a repaired and or used product. That way you don't spend too much money, you get into the sport, you like what you use, you improve. To make things easier, I'm gonna keep these together. This is a Tsunami Saltx rod, a 10.6 rod. If you see any of my videos from 2020 to 2022, I was using my Saltx 10.6 a lot, heaving a bunch of different fish, bunch of different weights, stripers, bluefish, whatever it might be, up on jetties, on the surf, in the back bay. This 10.6 was phenomenal. It was my go-to rod and I have zero complaints for it. I think it's the same price as the St. Croix Siege, but since I got the St. Croix Siege, I have not used this Saltx. Like I said, I'm just a huge fan of the new St. Croix Siege. It has been abused a lot. I took this to Montauk. It was my walking stick in the rocks. It's just been completely destroyed, but it hasn't been destroyed, if that makes sense. So this one is the 10.6 medium heavy action, 3/4 to 4 ounce Saltx. They're super thin products. Like I don't even know how to explain a thinner rod than the Tsunami Saltx rods. This is the 10.6, so if you were to go down to the 9.6, which is still a great rod for the surf, and then even for the jetties, if you want to get the 9.6, like I said, same price as the Siege. It's super thin. The only thing with it is it has a little bit more weight to it, I feel. Especially when you're throwing on a Van Staal VSX 200, or if you're doing a Penn Spin Fisher, or a Slammer 2, or a Daiwa BG. All of those in the 5,000, 55, 6,000 series range. It's a little bit bulky and a little bit big for the balance of this rod. It being so thin, it kind of feels really weird when you're fishing with a super thin rod and then you have that big reel seat just in your hands fishing a big reel. But like I said, I have no complaints about the Saltx. I just am now preferring my St. Croix Siege. And then over here is a Penn Prevail 9-foot. What is the action on this? I have not used this in a couple years. It's kind of just my backup and something to give people when they come with me. This is a 9-foot, medium, moderate, fast, 3/4 to 3 ounce. Back in the day when I first started surf fishing and I needed a rod, I bought this Penn Prevail out of Walmart. I checked the guides, make sure they weren't cracked, nothing was broken, and it's probably caught more fish than any other rod I've ever used. It was $80 at the time and it got the job done. So if you're super budget friendly, this is a good rod for you. I don't know how they are now. I know they've actually upgraded Prevails. They've upgraded the other, is it Prevail? I'm not sure what reel I used back in the day. It was a huge heavy reel, not sealed at all. It was like 90 bucks, and I don't know what the models are now. I don't know if they've decreased in value. You know, like a lot of things, they're overpriced, but now they're just made with cheaper materials. I don't know if the new Prevails are like that, but if you need a rod to get into it and you don't have more than 100 bucks, a Penn product is great. They usually come in combos. You can get a reel and a rod. A lot of times the reel combos that come with the rods, they're not the greatest, and most of the time not as sealed as you would want fishing the surf, especially in big waves and sandy conditions. But if you need to get into the sport and you're looking to get into it, you're watching videos, you want to get into surf fishing, do not blow your budget on a $600 rod or a $600 reel. Do what you need to do to get into the sport, and a year from now, look back at the videos, look up the recommendations for a better rod. But if you got money to spend, I would highly recommend a St. Croix product. I fished with the Triumphs before. I fished with the Mojos. I fished with the St. Croix Siege. So I think the Triumphs are around 160. So if you want to spend the money on a good product with good warranty and a good reputation, I'll link down some Triumphs as well. I don't have any Triumphs with me, so I don't have any to show you. Hey, this is the product. But I'll link those all down below, every single one of these. Whatever you're looking for, go ahead and get something for this season. I think we're gonna see some stripers coming in a lot earlier than we have, and I think we're gonna be producing some more content really soon with fish inside of them, earlier than we have in the last couple of years. I actually have been talking with FROGGTOGGS. I don't know if you saw the last video where I recommended a bunch of products to get started in surf fishing, but I did recommend some of the FROGGTOGGS waders, and they reached out, and now we have a 15% off code for you guys. I'll link that down below. If you're looking to get waders, a surf jacket, bibs for the boat, new backpacks, whatever it might be, you're gonna get 15% off. I'll link the code down below and also put it right here. Make sure you use that at checkout and you'll get some money off. And honestly, on a good pair of waders, 15% is a big deal. So get ready for the season. I can't wait to catch some fish. I'm out here, I'm listening to the waves right now, and man, we're almost there. It's like 52 degrees, I think, right now. So we're almost there, guys. We're almost there. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Stay real, smooch and release, and I will see you next time. Let's go.